off from here. I mean, Number One Gun, Mother Hips, hit by a semi. You have other musicians that have passed through town just for a short little while, maybe not even as musicians, and then gone on to be big. Jewel was here. She worked at Hey Wands for a while. And so there's this artistic growth thing happening here. And so for me, it's always been fun to see bands looking in the window at LaSalle's, when LaSalle's was the place to play, and dreaming of playing there, and then getting their first party with dorm kids showing up, playing house parties. Most of those kids are under 21, so they come to the house parties, and then you start playing at the clubs. And then as those kids turn 21, they start to support you, and then you're the biggest thing at LaSalle's. That's the coolest thing. Back then, you'd make like $1,500. You were like, we are the shiz. And everyone would come check you out, and that was the greatest if you could get to that point. And then eventually people graduate and somebody's got to move away or has a baby or gets married, and the band tries to hang on, and then at some point the band dissolves and goes its own separate ways. And then maybe they play every once in a while, or maybe they play in some other area that they've moved to, or wait another 5 years, and then they have their 10-year reunion. And so now we have all these reunions of bands that haven't necessarily been playing, and it's hilarious to see. And some bands do it every couple years. Dog Named Blue, you know, they have a reunion. It's just an excuse for everybody to come to Chico and have fun. So I've seen Chico as a place to grow as a musician before taking the big leap somewhere else. And we have a lot of amazing musicians that are world class that just choose to live here, and that have both grown up in this area or been here most of their adult life. You have like Sourdough Slim, you know, he's played at Carnegie Hall, or maybe it's Madison Square, I can't remember, but he plays all over. He has a small niche market, you know, of his style of music, but he still calls Chico home, even though he plays out more to get the kind of gigs that he wants. You have Gordy, who's played millions of gigs in town, still plays gigs in town, but he'll go out and play as a historian, banjoologist character in that style of music. I mean, you have bands like Mamuse now that are playing Cape Wolf and all kinds of festivals and booking house concerts all over the West Coast. And, you know, they won the Prairie Home Companion Songwriter Contest 2012, I think it was. So there's a lot of bands that can really break out of it, and you can be professional and still afford to have a little house and have a nice little lifestyle, which has been fantastic. You know, that's what I chose to do, even though I did it more in the production angle of it.
Yeah, as an engineer, you know, recording in Chico, what has that experience been like for you? You know, the broad arc of the experience.
To produce music and be in live sound production in Chico, you have to be pretty diverse. I love all kinds of music, all styles of music, working with all kinds of different people. And you can't just be a metal sound engineer around here. That's not going to work. Or just do one particular band, because nobody's that busy. So you have to do a lot of different things. And that's the nature of being a professional in production anyway. You're going to work, you know, God bless the guy who gets to work with his favorite band every day, but they probably aren't going to have enough money to actually sustain you making a living. And I know a lot of engineers that will go out with the band for a while, and then at some point they can't even afford a sound guy. So you work with a lot of different people. You do all kinds of different stuff. I mean, I do live sound for bands, but maybe it'll be for an organization that's hosting a number of bands. So I might be the sound guy at a music festival, and I call myself the mountain music specialist because I have so many of these yearly festivals up in the mountains that I do for people, and those are some of my favorite gigs. But then I also do corporate meetings. I did a congressional debate down in Sacramento, so I have a radius that I'll work within, but it's usually Sacramento, Tahoe, occasionally in the Bay. Less work in the Bay as I get older. I don't like to go that far to work. And with gas, what it is, you know, I have to be $200 cheaper just to get my van down there with my gear. So a lot of times it doesn't pan out. So what was the question again?
Mostly is, you know, it's kind of a leading question into, like, you know, some of maybe your favorite recording experiences, and also who is recording now currently. You know, like what styles and what.
Yeah, when in the early 90s, I was working at a music store and doing my bands and building my sound company. And a digital recorder was invented, an 8-channel digital recorder that used Super VHS tapes. And it was called the ADAT. And all of a sudden, for a mere $4,000, you could have an 8-channel digital recorder, which was mind-blowing. At that point, you had to invest, if you're going to be a recording studio, over $100,000 to get going. And like the guy who started up Cloud9, I think he started with 200,000 to get going, and he had a beautiful facility. And so all of a sudden you could have this recorder and you could hook several of them together, because most recordings needed at least 16 tracks to really be a nice recording. And so all of a sudden, for under 10 grand, you could be recording. And so I started out recording, buying one of these recorders, and then recording at shows or whatever I could do. Demos for people. I'd already been using a 4-track recorder and actually recording a little bit for pay, but mostly for fun. And so from that point, it was sort of game on. And I already had a sound company, so I had a lot of the equipment that was necessary to do recordings, microphones and things. And all of a sudden, I was in business and recording. Probably one of the earliest recordings my partner did. I did have a partner at one point, Jim Richards, and he recorded the Mother Hip's very first recording. It was a 2-track live to DAT tape, just a 2-channel stereo. And that was our first recording for Pro Sound that we actually got paid for. I think we got $50 or something for that. And I think one of those songs is on their box set that came out a couple years ago. But, and it was funny because he's like, Dale, you got to hear Tim and Greg's new band. It's really like, they have these weird breaks and tempo changes and funky harmonies and 2 little guitar noodly things going on. He's like, it's funky, but it's cool. He's like, these guys are awesome, you know. He'd known Tim and Greg for a long time, coming in the music store, and that was the beginning of it. And then when their first album came out, that was recorded at N Harmonic in Sacramento. John Bagalucci and Eric, I can't remember his name right now, but amazing recording. And I remember people coming in to the music store and critiquing it. Everybody in Chico wanted to critique this recording that they had made. And first they released it as a cassette demo, and then the final came out. And obviously it was so good it got them the attention of American Records and MCA, and got them a deal. And MCA really wanted them, and they ended up going with American, with Rick Rubin. And when they told MCA they signed with Rick, the A&R guy got on a plane and was in Chico about an hour and a half later, down at their house on Chestnut, like pretty much on his knees, like, you guys don't know what you're doing here, you know. And it was like they wanted creative license, and the Americans deal gave them a little more creative license. And I don't know a lot of the specifics beyond that, but they went with American, and then fortunately American didn't have the backbone to really support them. And it's hard to say what would have happened. I mean, maybe they could have become like the Black Crowes. Maybe they would have been just cut loose early on, and, you know, in a lot of debt. You know, I was talking to one of the members, and they said, well, if that would have happened, maybe we'd all be dead. You know, so you don't know what. So I have to look at their career now and say that I'm just so happy for them doing so well at this point in all their spin-off projects. You know, Tim's done an amazing thing. I consider Tim John Muir of California music for this era, and I think he's really forged a place there, and his music sets a tone for Northern California that I think is unparalleled in that style of music.
Are there other artists, and I know of some specifically you've mentioned before, that you worked with that you were just a little bit maybe starstruck about, that you were like, wow, this is why I do what I do?
Well, sometimes I have those moments like I can't believe I'm doing what I'm doing, and it might be with somebody just doing a killer take in the studio, and you're listening to it back in real time as it's going down, and your brain kind of disconnects for a second, like, because you're listening to something so incredible and thinking, you know, holy crap, I can't believe this is going down right now. This this is amazing. And that has happened several times. It doesn't happen every session, but it happens a lot. And it happens with a lot of local bands. I mean, I've had it happen with Hey Penny Bridge. I've had it happen with My Muse. Jason Conley's first album was like that. I just did another album with Jason, and I get that feeling now listening back, but I was playing drums at the time on the album, and so I couldn't feel that way because I was trying to get the thing down, nailed. And most recently, the Nancy McLean and the Trailer Park Troubadours were in, and Nancy lives in Nashville. Most of the band lives in Santa Cruz, and they came up and recorded. And I had an intern working, and he just got out of the Arizona Recording Conservatory for the Arts, I think it's called. And he was just, we were both just getting high off this session. Like, it was just like, wow, I can't believe that's going down. The band was so prepared. They played live together for years, but they never cut an album live all together in one room. And so, yeah, that magic is what I shoot for. And then getting back to the Chico aspect of it, though, I work with people that have never even heard themselves recorded before. I work with people the first time they're recording, first time singing along with pre-recorded music. And to me, music is like a birthright that we all are entitled to create. And I don't pass judgment on what people are recording. I just take it in and try to make the best recording, the best thing out of what they've got, to the best of my ability, to match their vision. And hopefully their vision isn't super exacting, but if it is, we'll go for that too. And just see what happens. And a lot of bands I've started with, guys coming in, they don't even have a band yet, and then all of a sudden they have a band, and some of them go on the road and become big. I mean, Marty James, who became Scapegoat Wax, he was coming to this house and recording, and when he was in high school, he dated my neighbor's daughter, and he was just getting going and writing beats and working with some other local guys on beats, and he's done really well with One Block Radio.